Hello. I'm a director of a counseling center in Brick, New Jersey, where we do what's called reparative therapy. We call it, that's the gay activist term, we call it sexual orientation change efforts. But for this purpose, I'll say reparative. I have 3 other clinicians that work with me. We all do this type of therapy. But most importantly, the type of therapy we do is client-centered. Whatever the client presents as the problem is what we address. Clients come in for alcohol problems. I don't browbeat them and tell them to get sober. If someone comes in for a bad marriage, I don't browbeat them into saying they have to have a good marriage. They dictate the treatment in therapy. That's what ethical therapists do. So unless someone's coming to me saying they want to change or they're uncomfortable with their same-sex attractions, I don't address it. I had a woman that I was working with for about 8 months. Because I've been testifying, she ended up hearing that I'm involved in conversion therapy, and her question to me was, why didn't you tell me about it? And my response was, you did not present with distress for your sexuality. You presented with other traumatic related issues, and therefore I addressed what her presenting problem was. Also, as far as what Brielle said, as far as the type of therapy that's done, we don't do shock treatments or show people pornographic pictures in order to get them to be desensitized to this type of to get them to a particular sexual orientation. I mean, that's just absolutely pathetic and unethical, and whoever would do such a thing should be held accountable, and there's consequences to that. If you practice that kind of thing as a licensed professional counselor, you lose your license if someone reports you. I think that's really important to note. Also, I am a former lesbian. At the tender age of 16, I was in a same-sex relationship. Even at that age, I didn't identify myself as homosexual because it was one same-sex relationship. There are lots of people who have one same-sex relationship that are not gay and do not define themselves as gay, and who would benefit from counseling to get to the bottom of what's going on with them. I knew then that I was not homosexual. I did not define myself as homosexual, so I decided that however my relationships progressed would decipher whether I was truly homosexual or not. At 19, I went to therapy. My therapist told me I was born gay and that I was gay and I had to embrace it. She never told me that I had a choice or an option. I had never heard those words. So from the time that I was 19 to 24, I continued in same-sex relationships. It was only at the age of 24 that one of my ex-girlfriends had informed me that she was going to get sexual orientation change effort therapy to try to leave the gay lifestyle. That was the first time I had heard that you're not born gay and that change was possible. So I too pursued that type of therapy. And you know, reparative therapy is talk therapy. That's all we do. It's insight oriented. You try to get people to understand why they're making some of the decisions that they're making. It's psychodynamic in that you go into the childhood and find out what types of traumas were evident. But it's simply that, talk therapy. There's no scientific evidence that supports a person is born gay. I have 3 homosexual brothers, so if anybody could say you're born gay with a family at one time that had 4 homosexuals out of 7, you would think it would be me. And the science says that you're not born gay, and I say you're not born gay. All my brothers, including myself, were sexually abused and were the victims of trauma. We came from a very dysfunctional family, and I believe that the homosexuality is a result of that dysfunction. I also have friends that lived in the homosexual lifestyle that engaged in sexual orientation change effort therapy, and they too are living a heterosexual life. And this is at least 5 of my friends. I don't believe homosexuals should be discriminated against, and I'm glad to see that there's laws protecting them. I ask you not to discriminate against those who desire change and to protect their rights. This bill does not protect my rights. My homosexual brothers are more protected than I. Do they deserve to be protected? Absolutely. But so do I, and that's what we're asking for by this bill being denied and not passed.